You won't believe what happened when the camera stopped rolling. For over a decade, fans watched Jane Kilcher and Lee living a life that looked straight out of a survival movie, building cabins by hand, fishing through the ice, hunting in the snow, and raising a family in the remote wilds of Alaska. They weren't actors. This wasn't a set. This was their real life. And for years they made it look like the dream. But behind the scenes, the truth was way more complicated. When Jane finally broke her silence, it wasn't dramatic. No tabloids. No shouting. Just quiet honesty. And that truth? It hit harder than anyone expected. Let's rewind. Jane and Lee didn't meet on set. They didn't get cast for a show and fall in love under camera lights. They were just two Alaskans from the same small town. Jane, a nurse and commercial fisher with a fierce work ethic and sharper wit, and Lee, a second-generation homesteader raised in the cold by a family that knew how to survive. Life sent them in different directions for a while, but eventually they found their way back to each other. This time it stuck. It wasn't about fame or followers or being on TV. It was about building something together from the ground up. Literally. Jane gave up her nursing career, threw herself into homestead life, and joined the family's reality show full-time. Viewers were hooked. She was tough, funny, blunt, and wildly relatable. She wasn't pretending for the cameras, she was just Jane. You could see it in the way she joked during freezing fishing trips or hauled gear across snow like it was nothing. She didn't sugarcoat anything and people loved her for it. But there was another side to her, the protector. From the start, Jane had one firm boundary: no spotlight on the kids. Etienne, Lee's son from a previous relationship, and Piper, Jane's daughter, were off limits. While Jane and Lee showed everything from snowstorms to food storage, their children remained private. Jane had been online long enough to know how brutal strangers could be, and she wasn't about to let her kids become targets. Then came the turning point. In 2015, everything changed. While hiking near Otter Cove, Lee fell nearly 40 feet off a cliff. It was a personal trip, not filming related, but the injuries were catastrophic. A shattered arm, fractured hip and ankle, 2 punctured lungs, a broken shoulder, and over a dozen fractured ribs. He had to be medevaced out by helicopter. It was the kind of accident that could end a life, or at the very least change one forever. And Jane? She was right there. She kept things going at home, cared for him during recovery, and tried to keep the family strong. On camera she still smiled, cracked jokes, and did the work. Off camera she was carrying the weight of everything. Alone. When Lee finally recovered physically, something emotional didn't come back with him. He grew quieter. More withdrawn. He started spending more time alone, building a cabin deep in the woods, saying it helped him find peace. Jane understood, for a while. Trauma shifts people. But as the months turned to years, she found herself doing the work of two people. Raising Piper. Running the homestead. Still filming. Still holding it all together while he kept drifting farther away. And fans began to notice. She stopped posting about him. The family photos dried up. Her social media became more about fishing, her daughter, and the wild landscapes she loved. And whenever someone asked, "Where's Lee?" she'd politely deflect, offering nothing more than kindness. But those who had watched from the beginning could feel the shift. Jane was still there, still strong, but the spark was dimming. Sometimes marriages don't explode. They just slowly unravel. And that's what happened here. Jane never gave up easily. She tried. They both did. Therapy. Long talks. Attempts to bridge the growing gap. But it became clear. Lee wanted space, real space. And Jane wanted partnership, connection, a team. Every time he left to work alone in the woods, it felt like a choice. And the message was clear. He was choosing a life apart. Still Jane showed up. For her daughter. For her family. For the fans who'd followed their journey. But the emotional weight of carrying everything alone was taking its toll. It wasn't just physical work anymore. It was heartbreak. Quiet, long, invisible heartbreak. When the separation finally happened, it didn't come with fireworks. It came with a short, honest message online. Lee is divorcing me. It's very unfortunate, but I cannot control it. Lost my best friend and it hurts, but I guess that's life. That was Jane, even in pain, still grounded. Some people tried to tear her down. Trolls came for her and even her daughter. But Jane shut it down fast. She didn't get angry. She got clear. In one post she wrote, "This black eye happened on TV. Leave my kids alone. My girl hasn't been part of reality TV, and if you have a problem, come at me. Not her. That's who she is. A mother first. A fighter when she has to be. But never cruel." Even then she refused to badmouth Lee. She still defended their family even after it ended. And here's where it gets beautiful. After the divorce, Jane didn't disappear. She didn't spiral or vanish into bitterness. She healed. Slowly. Quietly. On her own terms. She spent more time fishing. Reconnected with old friends. Took time with Piper, who had grown into a smart, grounded young woman. Jane protected her privacy, but every now and then she'd share a moment, proud of the woman Piper was becoming. And Jane's spark? It came back. Not all at once, but with every fishing trip, every post about peace, every laugh shared online. She stopped trying to fix things and started choosing herself. She said once, "I don't need a man. I just need fish, peace, and a few good people who get me." And you know what? She meant it. She never went on a tell-all rampage. Never aired dirty laundry. She just quietly rebuilt her life, one small, strong step at a time. Meanwhile, Lee is still out there on the homestead, focused on the land, livestock, and solitude. No signs of dating. No new revelations. Just a man continuing his path in the wilderness. Their kids, now young adults, are finding their own ways. Piper's in college, studying business and keeping her world private. Etienne is down in Southern California, loving the outdoors, music, and showing glimpses of his life through social media. They're both still deeply connected to their roots, even if the family dynamic has changed. But here's the thing that really hits. Jane's story is about way more than heartbreak. It's about strength. About knowing when to stay and when to let go. About rebuilding your life not in anger, but in peace. She didn't just survive a divorce. She reclaimed herself. And she did it without trashing anyone. Without drama. Just honesty. So if you've ever felt stuck in something that used to feel right, if you've ever fought like hell to hold something together only to realize you're the only one still holding on, Jane's journey is for you. Because real strength? It's not loud. It's not flashy. It's choosing to let go of what's broken even when it hurts. It's choosing yourself, not because you're selfish but because you've finally realized you matter too. If this story moved you even a little, give it a like. Drop a comment and let's talk about the strength it takes to start over. And hey, hit subscribe if you want more powerful real-life stories like this one. Because Jane's story isn't just about an ending, it's about a beginning. One that's quieter, stronger, and completely her own. And honestly, that's the kind of story we all need right now.